Okie dokie, so this is my studio. I'm afraid it's a bit of a, I'm probably going to have to work around. So this is my printing area. I've got a Canon Pixma here, and this does my art prints. This is my Workforce 5620, and this does my business cards and other really thick papers. I also do my stickers in this. And I have continuous ink systems for both of those. I've done a video which I'll upload eventually to show you how I did this one. This one used to be my art print one, but I found loading paper into the back was such a pain that I gave up on that one, and I've turned it into a sublimation one. So here's my continuous ink system for the sublimation, and I can now do A3 and A4 in that drawer there. Which is like way better, and the quality on this compared to my old sublimation one is just amazing. And then I've got a laser printer here, which I wanted primarily for cards, but I also want to be able to try and do some foiling. And then down here I've got all my various different papers for the different printers, and around here, old kitchen unit I took down, I've got my craft card stacks here, and then these are all the stickers here, and then down there I've got my A3 papers of various different sorts. So that's sort of my printing area over there. Excuse my hat on the floor. And then this is my sublimation area. So this is where I do my sublimation printing. So I've got all my blanks up there and in cupboards and all sorts of things. So I did a video of me putting these shelves up. There are lots they're still out of order actually, and I've just bought like 20 of these, so you know they didn't fit in. But I've got white mugs over here, I've got travel mugs here, and then I've got coasters and small items here. This is my flatbed oyster clam press. Oyster. Oh, it's going to help, isn't it? And then this is my dual mug press. Both of these, originally I had a different press, which I'll show you in a minute, and you had a mug press that twisted into it. You had to sort of disconnect this bit to put this bit in, and the connection got so weak it was awful, and I wanted to be able to do this two at the same time, so I got this one. I can easily get things in this. I totally recommend a clam press. This was quite a cheap one, it's really dusty, that I got from Amazon. In hindsight, I wish I'd actually got a bigger one, because now I can do A3 printing, whereas when I first got this I couldn't do A3 printing. But I do wish I'd got a bigger one, but I seem to manage with quite a large size at the minute, so you know, fingers crossed that's all right. Then under here I've got various different heating information, gloves, extra instructions, mats, stuff like that. And here I got these drawers from Hobbycraft, and I sort of keep all my little blanks in here. So they're key rings, keyring bits, compact mirrors, little bracelet. In here are all my totes. I have a lot of tote bags, and then various other bits. This is my Relax, Refresh and Recharge tin that I did in a collaboration with Gecko Fabric Art and Jane's Wax Melts and Candles, and it's got some really gorgeous stuff inside. I do like doing collaborations, they're fun. And then these drawers are just full of tiny little bits and bobs. So I've got a Pandora charm bracelet and a little charm to do at some point. But there's all sorts of bits in here. There's little round discs for necklaces. There's some ceramic baubles, all sorts. Same in this one, really random stuff. And then, oh look, really random stuff. And then in here I've got all my badge making things. I got some new backs for my smaller pins so that I could make some pin badges. So I'll give that a try. More badges. And look, more bits. So little jars, bookmarks, more pin badges. So that's that. That's basically most of the sublimation area. And then I've got these boxes here. So in here are bags, lunch bags, things like that. In here are tins. In here there are a few fabric products, but mostly sort of plaques, mats, sort of hardboard things that have to be stood up. So that's in there. The other drawers are kind of slightly random. In the bottom two, I've got my art, all my art from years, you know, sort of stacked up. So different ideas, illustrations, things like that. In here, I have my jewellery making things, and in here I have seconds. So come over to my desk. I've got my laptop there. That's an IKEA pegboard. As you can see, I've got some down there as well. But this is sort of basically where I'm sitting most of the time. So I'm either illustrating on this table or doing paperwork, or I'm on my computer. So this sort of little area is mine. And this is all IKEA stuff. I went a bit crazy on IKEA. These are the shelves that I put up in my first, I think it was my first vlog. And they are all like really cheap, £1.25 little baskets. I've got some more to put up actually. And then I just filled them with fabric. So I'm going to have some that are going to come out this way eventually when I get myself going. There's a plant that I'm trying to kill because I'm useless with plants. And if you've watched The Princess Bride, little Inigo Montoya, I absolutely love him. He even has little scars on his face. My daughter's obsessed with pop vinyls, so I felt I needed to buy at least one. And then I've got my Cricut machine there. My mega cutter, which is brilliant for, that's what I normally use for your business cards and things like that, because I can cut about 50 sheets at a time, and it just it makes life so much easier. The only problem is it isn't as accurate as I would like it to be, so I don't tend to go on the measurements. I tend to measure everything separately and then make this guide go to where I want it to be and then do it. But it's absolutely great. In fact, I need to change, if you can see this red bit in here. After a while, it doesn't cut so well, and I can feel there's a huge groove. So I need to turn it upside down, take out this red bit, turn it around and put it back in again, and then the blade will cut really beautifully again. And the blade has a safety catch, and you can also take the handle off. When I was working from home, I always took this off so that the kids couldn't do anything with it. There's some drawers I made in my very early Genesis time. I didn't make the drawers. The drawers are IKEA, but I covered them in some of my favourite papers. It's all shiny. Then I've got my mini guillotine. I've tried so many guillotines in the past, sort of rotary ones, slidey knifey ones, and actually, I mean, I've had this one for best part of 4 years, and it is still absolutely fantastic. It is without doubt the best guillotine I've had, and I have had lots. So up on my first pin board up here, I've got my Cricut mats over there. So I've got the green, the pink and the blue. So the pink one I think is the fabric mat, but I've not actually used it yet. Spare blades there, and then this is my wax seals. I used to wax seal all my envelopes. I just don't have time to do that now. But what I did do as an alternative is glue gun with sparkly glue. But like I said, I've not had time. I might go back to it in the new year. I've got, these are different labels for things. I've got these ones from the range. I thought they'd be rainbow colours. They are just red and orange. I was a bit disappointed. These ones I got from the IKEA. I'm using these for the minute to go on my notebooks, but I will be making my own soon, probably in the new year actually. And then I've got art pencils, pens, highlighters, pencils, art pens, more gel pens, writing pens, and then this is just random anonymous tools in there. I got this letter guide made for me by, oh gosh, she's not working anymore. I wish she was, because she was just an amazing page. I got so much MDF from her. I can't think what her name is. I think her name was Anna. But I asked her to make me this postal guide, and it's completely invaluable. There's no point having a paper one, and having an MDF one was great. It's a little bit bendy, but at least I go prepared when I go to the post office, which is good. This is a box of books, box of pens that I can't put anywhere else. These are some seconds mugs. They need to go in the seconds drawer. Then up here, I've got badge making supplies, but for the little badges. That's the one that the pin badges will go on, actually. I've got my bookmaking kit. Lots of violets. They've all been sorted out into colours, but they are in the worst pots in the world, so I'm forever dropping them, so they're not really very good. I've got my 6-hole punch for when I do planners and things like that. Gorgeous weights, fabric weights that my lovely friend Jane bought me. And this is my very wobbly gooseneck, I don't know what you call it. Words gone from me completely. It's like a tripod thing, but not. Anyway, I sometimes put the camera in here, and I do overhead shots when I'm working on the table. So this is what I use. I just got it from Amazon, I think it was. It wasn't hugely expensive. And you just twist it here to put it on and off. Sometimes I move it to have it on my desk over there, so that when I'm doing illustrating, you can see much better. This is an old lamp that I got from Lidl, I think it was, and it's particularly useful because it has a daylight setting. It's like daylight one side and then it's like warm light the next, but I much prefer the cool light setting. This is the ring I got that I showed you in a couple of vlogs ago. That is absolutely wonderful, but I can't look into it with my glasses on because all you see are these sort of, you know, big rings in my face, so it's a bit weird. And I got some table protectors from IKEA as well. I think these were from IKEA. They could actually well be from one of my wholesalers a while ago. So up here I've got various different tools, so some jewellery making tools. I've got my punch kit, stapler, hole punch, Sharpies, lots of glue sticks, and then various other little sundries. So this is my packing area here. Well, it's got bookmarks on at the minute, but this is my packing area. So I have all my packing labels and stationery there. I have my envelopes that need to be folded here. And then in here I have my cello bags and my backup stationery. I've got my tissue paper. Again, IKEA job here. Really good. It's meant to be hanging, I think you meant to hang these on it actually. But these sit so nicely on the top of my little boards. Aren't they brilliant? Also in my packing station I've got drawers, again from IKEA. So I've got A4 cellos for my portraits and for sticker packs. I've got hardboard envelopes. Then this is my packing bag section. I'm going to need to update it because I'm running a bit low, especially on A4. And paper bags in there. And then boxes are all down the side. I put these shelves up as well, sort of temporarily, because I need to put edges on, but there are some more packing things. So if I do A3 prints, I put them in here. That includes placemats, stuff like that. These are extra boxes for mugs, but these are my secondary boxes. Mugs actually came in these, and I didn't like it at all. I didn't think they were as good a quality, but they're my, in case of emergency mug boxes, these are my flat packed, much better smash proof ones in there. I've started using these envelopes. They're a bit like the ones you get from Amazon. They've got like a sort of waterproofy. They are really good actually, and you can sort of spread them out so that they're a bit thicker as well, but I like to use those. And then up here I'm starting to do vinyl things, so there's just some garments up there. These are all ones that I want to upcycle, and here's some of my vinyls. I've got a pot of gorgeous wax melts from Jane's Wax Melts and Candles. This is my flowers for when I do wedding bouquets. I'm sorry it's so dark, but it is quite late at night, but I've only just tidied it, so I thought I'd take advantage. My doming block and punches. This is where I file anything left over. So if I have business stationery and I happen to have one card left over, I mean, quite often I will send that to the customer, but I like to have a record of exactly what I've sent so that I can make sure that subsequent orders are the same. So it'll have things like measurements on, sort of written. There's a thing here that it's, and I sort of fill it in and write on it. I made it myself actually, if I show you, because I didn't have this sort of I didn't have a filing cabinet that was small. So what I did was I got some wooden batten and I basically screwed it in either side, and then I hung all of these on it. So that's that. Another plant I'm killing off. This is Jane's section. So Jane, who comes and helps me, she's got all of these boxes that are full of craft supplies left over from when I ran Crafty Whatnots. And there's just loads of planning things, MDF shapes, oh god, just absolutely loads of stuff. So she's slowly listing those on the Genesis stock clearance website, but that is where they all are at the minute, and that's about half of what there was. So I'm hoping that that'll go down even more soon. It's just amazing, the stuff that's in there, really is. I do actually think that box may be empty. It's a bit exciting, isn't it? And possibly that one. There's some seconds up in that box there that I need to list on my website. Then I've got my, this is my rubber stamp maker. That box is empty. This holds my hundreds of Pro markers, Spectrum Noir, Copics, all those sorts of pens, they're all in there. This is old sketchbooks and buttons for some reason. And in here are paper kits, paper pads that I have started using and I still use to cover inserts. This is a gorgeous kit that now I have tidied, I can actually start to make, that I got given for my birthday by the lovely Jen from Gecko Fabric Arts. So I can't wait to do that. Right, so in here I have, can you see? Inks. I've got Dylusions paints. I've got most of the range of Dylusion paints for art journaling, but I also have the Spectrum Noir inks and things like that, because I quite like doing things on, you know, paper from time to time. What's in this one? Stamps. I used to be a Stampin' Up coordinator, so I've got quite a few sort of Stampin' Up bits, but it's not just Stampin' Up, it's random things from magazines as well. And there's also some stamps left over from when I did the craft boxes too. And I had a wonderful wholesaler that now have gone out of business, but they did some absolutely gorgeous stamps. I actually rather miss doing these. I mean, isn't this so gorgeous? So anyway, that's my stamps. I don't do much stamping at all anymore. This is my box of kits. So, and kit elements. So I started doing kits. This is for an advent calendar, and inside you get all the things that you need to make a treat pouch advent calendar. So I used to do monthly boxes of craft things, and I thought I'd use up some of the craft materials I've got and make little kits, but that hasn't really happened so much. Random drawer, chameleon pens, mostly fabric in here actually. And then here, Fimo, big box of Fimo, because sometimes I make my own planner rings. There's fabric in here, fabric in there, fabric and felting in there. And then I've got got quilling. What's that? That's art books. And things. In there is my Regenesis stuff. So I used to make jewellery that was upcycled using plastic bottles, milk bottles, bunting from plastic bags and all sorts. So I used to do lots of recycling, and that is my box full of bits of that. This is my silversmithing box. So in here I've got silver clay and tools specifically for silver clay in there, because you can't mix them with other silver clay things. These are, I really ought to have a look through this one actually, because this is my sewing box. I don't go in it very often, but I expect there's something in there quite useful. And then I've got this box, and this one full of punches. And this is a giant box of boxes, which isn't overly exciting really. So under my accounts, refund things. So there you are. Sorry, had an interruption from a little one then. This is my light box down here. This is where I take most of my pictures. This is the tripod that I usually use. I've got packing things in these two, and then the accounts down the bottom. Right, so this box here is full of my jewellery making things from when I was at university, because I went to university to study metalwork and jewellery. This one is full of beads and jewellery making accessories, and this is full of all my story stones and things like that. This is a jeweller's mill, which I haven't used in ages. This is the other press that I told you that I had. It was an absolute pig, really, to use, because you burnt your hand trying to get into it, and oh, it's a pain. But what I actually use it for is flattening my placemats, and it's brilliant for that because it just keeps them flat, because when you heat MDF it has a tendency to curl. So this has actually been, despite the fact I don't turn it on, it's been invaluable. It's been absolutely brilliant, so I use that quite a lot now. I think various different bits of rubbish under there. I think that's about it really. I think my battery's about to die. So anyway, thank you ever so much for watching my studio tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I keep going around so you can see a bit more. I'm really pleased with my studio in the way that it's sort of worked out. Actually, it takes a while. I mean, I've been doing Genesis now for about 5 years, and it is amazing how things have changed as I've gone along. I mean, I started off with very much the recycling things and the craft kits, and every time I do something different, it's not because I've suddenly gone, oh, I really fancy doing that. Most of the time it has been because a customer has said to me, oh, I don't suppose you do that, do you? And I thought, well, don't see why not. I'll give it a go. And that's sort of how things have evolved. You know, the sublimation things, sorry, over there. You know, that was after a conversation with a customer, and now it's one of the most successful parts of my business, actually. The fabric, I always have this terrible desire to buy fabric, so it's quite nice when I'm actually using it. I've got, if I turn you around, some ready to post books in here of fabric, which is really nice. It's really just sort of, because I used to be so much craft supply related, orientated to start with, I would I mean, I still supply one lady with hoops, that's Steph from Sew Cross, but generally I don't supply craft supplies anymore. Partly because I end up with stock left over. I mean, if somebody says, oh yes, I want a dozen whatevers, I have to buy, I have to do a minimum order. I mean, I'm very fortunate that I can have wholesale prices on a lot of supplies, but I have to buy so much in to get my free postage or to get my minimum allowance to get the wholesale, that I end up with loads of stock left over, which is why we set up the craft clearance one, because I just had lots of you know, well, just all sorts. I mean, I've got planners, I've got embellishments, craft making materials, I've got papers, I've got cards, and it's just ridiculous. And nearly all of that is a result of somebody saying, oh, can I have, say, a happy planner, whatever, and in order to get that happy planner I've had to spend an extra £30 on stuff that I haven't needed but I kind of fancied. And it's like, and it gets expensive when you do that. So I've stopped the craft supplies side, apart from the hoops, which I get sent directly to my customer. The reason I wanted to do it is because I felt that crafting should not be expensive. You shouldn't have to pay a fortune to craft. I mean, crafting is just so good for the soul. It makes you feel so much better, and I wanted to be able to give that to people. But the trouble is, I was like bankrupting myself, and spending money that I just couldn't afford. to try and make other people happy, and that just wasn't viable, and it's not sustainable either. So that's why I've stopped on the craft supply front, unless anyone particularly wants a large amount of anything, which I could therefore get cheaper for them. I'm just not doing it. God, I wish I put you on a tripod. My arm is aching. I'm finding that with things like the sublimation and vinyl printing as well, I'm getting in stuff to try, and there is so much sublimation stuff that I'm desperate to try. I just haven't had a chance to do yet, so I will do those at some point, but I've got to remember not to buy in stock I don't need. It's hard. There's too many nice things out there. So anyway, that is my studio tour. It's predominantly looks like IKEA threw up in here, partly because it's just so much value. I mean, the tables, the tabletops, you can see them, I think they were about £6 each, and the legs were like £4 each, you know, and some of the tables only have 2 legs. Some of them I have actually made one leg go across 2 tables, and other ones have brackets that go into the cupboards. So it's worked out really well. The most expensive thing have been the big Kallax, these things here, but they're just so invaluable. I mean, filling up those things, it's amazing how much I can get in there. And then you can get like extra little bits like this to separate, like there, if you can see, it's like a shelf. And it's been really, really useful, I have to admit. I mean, in my old office I had a lot of the units, so you know, I could upcycle them, which is really, really good. The only thing I don't like about this room, I mean, I've got very, very bright lights, but as you can see up there, but the thing is that I'm often working towards the wall, which means that I'm often in shadow. There's no way of showing you really, which means it can get quite dark, and the sun shines in the blinds so much sometimes, but it's too bright and my camera can't cope with that either. So maybe I need to invest in a better camera. Depends whether you enjoy these vlogs enough, I suppose. I think I might end up having to do that. Anyway, I suppose I had better go and leave you to it. I will try and get all my artwork up at some point, and then I can do a tour of that as well if you would like. So thank you for joining me on my trip around my craft room studio. It's not really a craft room, it's a studio. I have a lot of different crafts in here though, and some of them I've accumulated since I was little. I mean, I've been quilling since I was 10 years old. I actually haven't been quilling all that time because I've not really done any quilling for the last 5 years, but I don't like getting rid of things. You never know when you might need them. So yeah, I have got quite a lot in here. Anyway, if you have any questions or you'd like to know more about anything in particular, such as the printers and the continuous ink systems, or best things to do when you're buying setting up a sublimation business, or vinyl, or anything like that, give me a shout, let me know. Thank you ever so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Bye.